Hi guys, Xanadu
Powered
here
by
from
Riverside
Nat-Lilly.
FM.
Just a reminder to pop into our website for any info on products mentioned in any of our podcast episodes. We are consistently updating and adding to our product range. One of our new offerings is proudly from Curious Earth. They've got a lovely range that we've introduced onto our store, so please have a look. Also, remember to like, subscribe, or share. If any of our content resonates with you or with anyone you feel that needs to hear it, reach out, let us know, share it with them. Lastly, a reminder just to keep an eye out for our educational material that we'd be launching soon. Will be available via ebook format, via our store, as well as local digital book suppliers such as Amazon. Yes, and that's it. Thanks for listening, guys. Now back to your regular podcast. Love and light. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unfiltered Soul Shifts. Today, we are speaking about understanding your nervous system, learning how to listen, to soothe, and to shift. So basically, your nervous system has one sacred job, and that's to keep you safe. But what happens when the body is stuck in protection mode, even when there's no real danger? So today we're going to explore how our nervous system speaks to you, and more importantly, how to speak back. It isn't about fixing anything. It's about listening, soothing, and slowly shifting the patterns you didn't choose, but can now transform. The idea of this episode really is a follow-on from episode 4, where we touched on some elements of the nervous system. So this is really just to delve in a little bit more. So what is your nervous system, right? So let's start simple. Your nervous system is the part of your body responsible for keeping you alive and protected. It controls how you react to stress, to danger, connection, rest, even love. When your body senses a threat, it kicks into one of the 4 survival modes. So, and touching base on those, that is the 4 Fs. So flight, fight, freeze, and fawn. We can also delve into what the nervous system does and how it reacts by touching base on the polyvagal theory, and really just like some plain language. So polyvagal system is like your internal security team. It scans the world for cues. Here we ask ourselves questions like, am I safe? Or am I under threat, right? It's your body's reaction to those cues. So based on that answer, it shifts how you feel, how you breathe, move, or even how your voice sounds. Your survival state, so the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, is really based again on that answer. So your fight is your system saying, oh, I need to protect myself. You might feel angry, edgy, reactive, ready to take on the world. Your flight, have to get out, right? You feel anxious, avoidant, you can't sit still. Freeze is feeling too much. You shut down, feel numb, disconnected. And fawn is when you'll do anything to feel safe. You people please, you overgive, you abandon your own needs. Just remember that none of these are wrong. They are brilliant adaptations. They kept you alive until now and will in the future. But now it's just time to learn how they show up and offer your body something new. So we've chatted about how to recognize the state, which I'll touch base on now. And essentially, you don't always know with your mind, but your body knows. This really does just come across in sometimes signs that we do recognize. So using fight mode, right? Your jaw gets tense. Your fists might clench. You might feel irritable. You start yelling, easily triggered. So the smallest thing will just set you off. feeling like you're constantly defending yourself, driven by control or fixing everything. That's fight for you. Flight, on the other side, is feeling restless, overworking, perfectionism, anxiety, difficult being still, so always keeping busy, escaping into distractions like cleaning, scrolling, running errands because you just don't want to deal with the thing. Panic or dread when things slow down. Freeze is, as mentioned, that numbness, right? The fatigue, zoning out, can't make decisions. You feel disconnected from your body, oversleeping and literally withdrawing from others. And then fawn, saying yes when you actually mean no, sometimes to your own detriment, guys. Putting everyone else first, always. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of disappointing, everyone. Things like, if I keep the peace, I'll stay safe. Now, throughout our lives, and again, depending on the situation, we might actually react differently according to the situation. But what sounds like your default? Just going through this, while I was going through it, I'm like, sure. I think if I look at myself, majority of the time, I tend to be in fight mode. Depending who I'm fighting with, I might actually be in flight mode. I use distractions to escape. I know this about myself, so I will become a compulsive cleaner. I will constantly keep busy because sometimes the noise in my head is just too much, right? I get anxious and I feel it's difficult just being still and sitting down. So that was a growth point for me. I had to learn how to be able to sit down and deal with things, not be restless, and not have to default to my default mode, which is actually fight mode, and start getting triggered by everything and constantly feeling like I'm defending myself. I used to switch between the two easily. And when I started feeling neither of those would work, I'd automatically go to fawn mode. So I've never been in a freeze mode where I can't make decisions or I feel disconnected. No, let me not say never. I think never is very strong. Default is not freeze mode, but withdrawing from others when I've got a lot to deal with is a freeze mode tactic, right? And as I mentioned, like when the others weren't working for me, I would just fall into fawn mode, saying yes to everything. Why? Because I just didn't feel like disappointing everything. When, again, switching between, everything is my fault and I feel like I'm constantly defending myself, I ended up just saying yes. So we tend to flip and switch, but I think we do all have default. And guys, this is just my opinion. There's no judgment here. It's just about being aware, because once we see the pattern, we can begin to deal with it and we can begin to soften it, right? To attack it, or to attack is probably a strong word, but to deal with it with questions that allow us to be aware, but also allow us to grow from it. So how do we do that? How do we reset? You don't always just need to get it together and fully understand. You just need tools to bring your body back home and bring you into that awareness state. That's when your nervous system resets. That's how we start using micro practices to create shifts, right? Gently. So a few hacks that I've mentioned previously, one could be humming, so like sound vibration. That calms the vagus nerve, it stimulates the parasympathetic system. Cold water splash on your face, even the cold plunges, which help reset your vagus nerve and also nervous regulation, basically. It basically signals the body that it's safe to rest. long audible sighs. So the releases tension, shifts your breath pattern, and gargling or chanting. This again comes down to the sound, so it stimulates the nerve and the vagal nerve connection. Grounding practices, such as the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory anchor, which I've also mentioned before. So that's when, if for those of you that don't know it, it's when you notice and name 5 things that you see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things you hear, 2 scents you smell, and 1 that you can taste or breath that you feel. So using your senses, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, often when I do this, I sometimes just jump around. I'm like, okay, 5 things I can touch, not 5 things I can see. It also depends on where you are, right? But using this, it helps reconnect you to the present moment, especially when you are spiraling. It just brings you back to where you currently are. And then I tend to couple that with breathing. So again, that long audible sigh, or the hand to heart, taking deep breaths in and out, and like just breathing into my center. Another micro ritual is the balm and breath. So rubbing a small amount of grounding balm on your wrists or neck, inhaling slowly, and whispering something assuring like, I am safe, I am here, I am allowed to rest. And then just repeating that about 3 or 4 times. 3 is my number, so I usually do it 3 times. You can make that a daily ritual, even when you are not in distress. That way your body begins to associate it with calm and comfort. By doing your daily rituals, when you are not in distress, you're creating safety. So how do you create micro moments of safety? Building your own rituals. Now, there isn't a right or wrong answer. I always say, do what works for you. And really, it's what a lot of people just don't realize, right? Safety doesn't always mean peace and quiet. It doesn't always mean what everybody else does. It means, when are you safe to be yourself, to express, to rest, to exist without any sort of performance or fakeness. Micro moments of safety. So lighting a candle every evening or every morning. I do a candle almost every evening. If I don't do a candle, I do incense. Another thing I also tend to do at the beginning of the week, I light a candle to set me in with intention for the week. That's also just my way of providing safety for myself, to say, this is going to be a good week. I'm safe to be how I need to be. Wearing soft clothes that feel good on your skin. I think it's a meme that I saw somewhere, but it's probably just a thought of, when you get home after a long day, how ladies they often say the first thing that a lady takes off when they walk into their house is their bra. If you've had a really, really bad day and you're not feeling yourself, you get into the most comfortable clothes that you have. Why? Because it makes you feel safe. It makes you feel comfortable, right? Because it's good on your skin. So wearing soft clothes, wear something that makes you feel comfortable. Texting someone that makes you feel seen, Again, that's just the social malleability of it, socializing. Reaching out to someone that makes you feel seen and heard. Drinking tea, wrapping yourself in a blanket before bed. Taking 1 deep breath before checking your phone in the morning. The nervous system thrives on rhythm and repetition. The more moments of safety you can create, the more your system learns. I don't have to constantly live in survival mode. So guys, a reminder, your nervous system is not broken. You are brilliant. It's brilliant. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, right? Now, just with a little love and a few simple rituals, you can just guide yourself back to peace, 1 moment at a time. Let this be your invitation to listen, to soothe, and to shift. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that you take something out of this. I hope that it resonates with you. Feel free to send it to someone that you feel needs to hear that, because we all need to remember to listen, to soothe, and to shift. Be blessed. Stay well. Till next time.